What's up, everybody? So this past week, I had the fortunate chance of checking out the very first episode of the eagerly anticipated video game adaptation of The Last of Us on HBO. And I got treated to a special screening at what they're calling the Last of Us screening experience here in New York. So before I got to catch the episode, they kind of bring you through a little experience. So check that out real quick. The event took place at the legendary Angelica Film Center here in New York, and you could see that they really went all out to convert this into a Firefly outpost. They did a really good job with all the quarantine signage and all the warnings, and you could see all the thralls of people here waiting to get inside to check out their screening of the episode. Inside, you are transported into Firefly headquarters, which is a pretty awesome setup that they had with all the old electronics and radios. You had people going over maps of certain stash houses and destinations where clickers are located. Very cool stuff. And then you get transported into this area where when you were scanned to get in, they gave you your very own Firefly token that you could show them and get your own ration for the screening. Now, of course, what event would this be if you couldn't take your own photo? So you have a photo op area here where you could take a picture of something that you'll see within the show and might be familiar to you video game fans. Plus, if you look around, you're going to see this awesome movie poster that many of you are going to really appreciate. You then get whisked downstairs where all the screening rooms, or theaters I should say, are held. And as you walk down, everyone's in character. You hear people talking about the plans and, you know, being careful not to get out of the quarantine zones. And when you walk in, you also hear in the distance clicker sounds, so you know you're walking into some trouble. Yeah, so as you could see, they really went all out to really put yourself in the mood of the universe that you're going to be experiencing in the Last of Us series. And I think they did a really great job, and I had a really good time. So kudos to those who put it together. But of course, the main important thing was being able to watch the first episode, and I'm sure all of you are wondering how it is. So I'll say this. From what I can tell in episode 1, this is going to be a very special series. I mentioned before, it's from the same people who put together the Chernobyl limited series on HBO, and I thought they did a really amazing job with that. What I can tell so far that is great is that it looks like it'll be able to appease the video game fans and those who are not very familiar with the video game. Now, this first episode is 85 minutes long, and it's a good portion and a good starting off point because it really gives you great background on the story of what exactly is happening and some more insights on each of the main characters that you're going to be following. And so the video game will recognize certain scenes that they kind of portray in this episode, but they also elaborate and expand on a lot of the stuff that's happening right before those particular scenes that we're used to in seeing and playing the video game. And that's where I think this series is going to shine. The fact that they're going to be able to really expand on a lot of the things. You know, when you're playing a video game, you're learning about things as you go because you're exploring this area. You're picking up little things that like diary notes and documents, and that's how you kind of get filled in on all the events that's been happening that's causing this big apocalyptic event within The Last of Us. Plus, of course, you have dialogue between the main characters and all that stuff like that. And you are going to get that here as well. But I like that they're giving us additional stuff to really fill in the gaps that maybe most of us didn't really learn about until later on in the game as we're playing it through. So this is where it's really going to be benefiting a lot of people who are not familiar with the video game at all. Pedro Pascal as Joel is phenomenal. I mean, what do you expect from the Mandalorian himself, right? And it's great to have like such a top-notch actor attached to this series. And you could really tell when it comes to this one particular scene that, again, many video game players and those who are fans of the game will remember the very beginning of the the game and the story, and it involves him and his daughter. And wow, such an emotional scene. Bella Ramsey is really great. It looks like she's really honing in on the spirit of Ellie. However, I will say that her version of Ellie is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more rambunctious than the Ellie that we've got in the game, at least in the very beginning. She's extremely outspoken and extremely rebellious. And again, not saying that the Ellie that we knew in the video game is not that, but I feel like this has been turned up a notch, at least turned up to 11 for sure. We do get introduced to some characters that video game fans are going to be very familiar with, and I think we're going to be really expanding more on them as this series continues. But the main first episode is just all set up, puts you in this world, tells you a little bit about the story of what's happening, and kind of gives you that proper introduction to the main characters that you'll be following throughout the series, and that's really Joel and Ellie. If there's any one major takeaway that I can tell from episode 1 that we're probably going to be experiencing a lot in this series, is that it's going to be very dark at times and extremely emotional. This is just the start. There's going to be so many things that's going to be happening all throughout. You got to get yourself ready, because this is really going to be one of those series that's going to be pulling at your heartstrings and probably putting your emotions in a bit of a roller coaster ride. But that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited for this, and I really can't wait for it. And I really do feel like those who are fans of the game and those who aren't are both going to equally enjoy this series altogether. So I'm excited. I'm sure all of you excited. So let me know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you thought of episode 1. If you haven't checked it out yet, are you planning to? Would definitely love to have a discussion, and just love to see just the reactions in general of how episode 1 turned out for all of you. And of course, stay tuned to the channel, because every week I will be covering and doing reactions of every episode of The Last of Us. So don't forget, hit that like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time a new video and those reaction videos are uploaded onto the channel. And as always, like I've said before, if you want an audio version of all of this stuff, you could find it on the LOWKEY GEEK channel on your podcast platform of choice. That being said, I'll see you all next week. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Peace out, y'all.